want to watch.
How's it going, guys? Welcome to Fatberg. Today we've got another breakdown for you. This is probably going to be one of the stupidest videos I will ever do on the channel. So, I don't know if I'm breaking new ground here, but this is going to be about my personal Family Guy conspiracy theory that I've worked on for the past few years, or worked on is a strong word. I didn't devote too much fucking thought to this shit. But it's something that has grabbed my attention for some time now, and today we're going to be talking about the Family Guy Peter Griffin is a pedophile conspiracy theory. If you could call it a conspiracy theory, it's just some fucking dumb shit I've noticed and I want to talk about because it bugs me a little bit. So let's begin. Now, Family Guy is an adult comedy animation thing that started in, well, I'm sure you guys know what fucking Family Guy is, right? I mean, if you don't, it's an American cartoon series. It's a dark comedy at this point. I mean, it didn't begin that way, but it sort of shifted over the years to become more not serious. It's not a fucking serious show at all, but it's gotten edgier as time has gone on, or dare I say lazier. But again, over the years it's gone from kind of edgy to over the top, disturbing, and in many cases violent. It does some surrealist and frequent, like, absurdist humor. Again, it's gotten kind of lazy, so it either just goes over the top or does something weird in hopes it gets a fucking laugh out of you now. And most of the characters have a set of traits that defines them and is used to fit them into these situations. You have Stewie. He's smart and evil, I guess. Not so much evil anymore, but, you know, still comes up. Brian is witty but egotistical, really full of himself. Quagmire is a ladies' man and is always getting into hijinks and hilarity. And then there's Peter. The obvious about Peter is he's dumb, an alcoholic, and potentially a pedophile. Today we're going to be taking a look at that, and this is quite possibly the strangest running gag in Family Guy's history. Peter Griffin, the sexual predator. Family Guy has a series of running gags that have formed over the years, usually because of positive fan reaction. Like the chicken fight, it was hilarious, everyone loved it, so they did it again. And then they did it again. And again. And eventually the humor ran dry, and they stopped, like they realized this is no longer funny, it's just kind of annoying people, so they finished that up. They finished up that plot. Just like the greased up deaf guy or the Conway Twitty cutaway, which I want you to remember that when something is no longer funny, the writers of Family Guy are willing to eventually stop doing it. Sometimes they drag it out longer than it should have, it overstays its welcome, but they will stop. One of these running gags is Peter's sexually predatory behavior. And I want you to hear me out. I know how bullshit this is going to sound, but bear with me here, okay? I have a bit of a point to make. I know it's dumb and it's not worth anybody's time, really, but there's something there. One of the most frequent running gags in Family Guy's history is Peter being sexually inappropriate. Primarily, but not exclusively, to children.
I love Susie more. Give me a Susie. Uncle Peter's gonna give you a raspberry.
Peter, that's not where you do a raspberry.
One of the older examples that comes to mind, and one of the things that, probably the first time I realized they were doing this, it's probably not the oldest, example of Peter doing this, but it's when I realized, hey, that's a little weird. It's when Peter discovers he is mentally disabled, and he uses this as an excuse to force women to allow him to watch them go to the bathroom.
Sorry, retarded.
Oh, that's okay then.
Don't know any better.
Oh, bless your heart.
Again, kind of a weird, like, one-off thing. It's good for a few shock laughs, but whatever. We don't really need to revisit this. Now, Family Guy is well known to use shock humor to get an easy laugh, but with a little observation, you will start to see a pattern here. Some seasons later, an episode comes around where Peter is reading a book to Stewie, his infant son, and halfway through this, we get a cutaway where he then has to disclose he has to have a social worker in the same room as him and his children. This is the first time we get a solid, yes, Peter is a registered sex offender, but possibly the only time there is some sort of official recognition of this happening. Peter is, in this case, a registered sex offender and isn't allowed to be around children unsupervised. Later on, we see a very blunt example of Peter's behavior. Later on, Peter becomes the host of a popular children's TV show. He then makes reference to how he can use this position of power to molest kids. Take a look at the clip. It's pretty bad.
You know, I'd lay off the nagging if I was you. I'm a children's TV star now. I can have any 3-year-old girl I want. Just know that, Lois.
Now, again, I ask you, what was that worth, right? Like a brief cringe and a chuckle of, like, I can't believe they made him say that. That's insane, right? And again, as we've established, the writers are perfectly willing to do away with a gag once it's no longer funny. And these are a few examples, but let's take a look at a couple more.
Can you be a big boy and unbutton your shirt for the picture?
Yeah.
Which means I am about to do something to you that you will not remember until you're 40. Hey, come back here. I meant sex.
Oh, last time I did that, it walked in, I looked at internet porn.
What? No, it's not even mine. I just clicked on it. And come on, it's not like it's gay corn. It's gay. It was baby corn.
Now, have you ever heard anyone say, "Oh man, I laughed my ass off when Peter made the joke about touching kids," right? Like, it's not that funny. It's just a shocking thing to say, to see, and you get like a little bit of a reaction to it. But I wouldn't say it's like hilarious. You know, I don't think back on that bit. But they keep doing it. They keep doing it over and over and over again, and it's strange too because, for one, we already have Quagmire, whose character archetype is, I mean, he's sexually inappropriate. So why are we putting this on Peter when there's another character that's more befitting of these jokes, you know? And they just keep going and going, despite the fact that it's overstayed its welcome, I would say. Now, we have to ask ourselves, is it just easy shock humor that anyone could do and is just indicative of the fact the writers lack any sort of skill and just go for the lowest of low-hanging fruit? Or is it something more nefarious? Are the Family Guy writers creating a dark subplot that will one day come to a head? Probably not, but it's still pretty fucked up.
I'm going to prison, aren't I?